trying to catch an animal, and I think the easier you can do this, I think the better. The first part of this, I'm just telling you, you can rig up a panel that you could, swing up against here, just like we have here. And we have it against an existing fence. It doesn't have to be complicated, but the main thing is something that you can tighten them down a little bit, get a halter on them, and like I said, and try to make that as stress-free as you can. I think the big key here is we're trying to ease these calves into this lane here to get the halters on them, and I think the key is to try to do this as stress-free as we can. We're trying to get them not riled up. I think the first part of this process is for them to kind of ease up in there. We're not pushing them hard. We're not, doing a lot of, fast action kind of stuff here. What we're using here, especially at the first stage here, is we're using the Weaver extra long breaking halter. We love this halter just because it gives you that extra length as far as when you're trying to lead them and tie them. But the other thing is that breaking halter piece that lets this slide real easy. So it's like pressure, come here, reward, pressure, come here, reward. So it really keeps their chins from swelling up, keeps their ears from being pulled down. Right now, a lot of people might want to just put the halter on them and then let them out and try to get them to lead and try to tie them up to the fence and do all this. And we're real conscious about taking baby steps here. We feel like that's a little bit more easier on them. I mean, you know what? We're trying to do things one piece at a time. Right now, we've got them in the lane, we've got them contained, and so what we like to do is tie them. You'll see Ky's tying these, but I think what you'll notice here is the heads are not elevated up high. We're just got them at a comfortable height, and to me, it's something that's not pressuring them or making them nervous. This is an easy setup. I mean, this is not a complicated deal, but what we can do is we can come in here and handle them, rub them, and kind of get that touch to them to where, they just get to where they're not scared of you. So, key thing is here is we can get up on them, we can touch them. They're confined enough that they're not going to jump all over the place and hurt themselves. Another thing that we can do here, a lot of times we've blown cattle out in the alleyway here or in this tie lane. So we either, we've rubbed them with our hands, we've combed them, what we can comb them. We've had a blower on each side kind of blowing them out. Just anything we can do to kind of help break them. We will do this, 2 or 3 times, and then we feel like if things are going good, we kind of monitor the situation as we go. But when we feel like they're ready and they're kind of calmed down and this is good to them, then we go ahead and start trying to take them out and tie them to the fence. So if things are going good here and we feel comfortable that the calves are kind of settled in, then it's our next step is to go ahead and try to lead them out of this. And we're not really leading them, but I guess say let them out. So once we let them out, that's what I like about the extra long breaking halter. We're going to come in here, and the main thing is you'll notice that he come out here and he got him stopped. You know what I mean? And that's one thing about it. I think the key thing is when you come out here, try to get them stopped, and then we're going to try to go to the fence. What I like about this setup is we're from the tie lane to where we're going to tie them up to the fence here is probably 14 feet. So it's not a long distance, but right now we're not really worried about leading. We're more worried about going from here to there and tying and not. And he's a pretty calm calf. Like I said, he's been tied twice. The one thing that I want to make sure, and a mistake that I see a lot of people make, is they want to come over here and they want to tie their heads up right off the bat. And to me, a lot of times that forces cattle. Cattle don't like it. It scares them, especially young calves like this, and they want to jump up in the air and jump up in the air. And then a lot of times they'll jump up in the air and then fall down, and then they're tied hanging there, and then you got a real problem. So to me, key thing is here is the time to the fence. But what we say is that nose level, and then we're going to gradually go on up as time progresses here, and they start doing better. So the big deal here is don't tie them high right off the bat. At this point, I think 12 inches there is kind of what is the length that we shoot for, because it's a length that's not pressuring them. It is closer to the fence, so there is a little bit of pressure involved there, but at least, this is not snubbed up tight, and calf can still relax. The thing I like about the 12 inches length there is if they lift their head up, the pressure comes off their chin. If they put their head down, then there's pressure on their chin. So they're already kind of, even though we're not leading them or doing anything, it's like it has a way of that give and can take pressure, come here, reward, pressure, come here, reward. And we can do that just with a minimal amount of rope at this point. You can see this calf's chewing his cud. I mean, life's good. I mean, it doesn't get any better than that. And so what we're gonna do is we're gonna try to gradually kind of up him a little bit, but we're gonna stay with that 12 inches of, to me, lead here. So we're not gonna, just like I said, snub him up tight. Key thing is we can go higher, and the goal here is to shoot for, basically show height. Obviously we'd want to be a little bit higher, but I mean, at this point here, he still has that, like I said, 12 inches of lead here to the fence. And like I said, we're going to gradually start working his head up. And I think this is the thing here when you're tying these calves up, and I think when you do go higher, I think it's really, really, really important that you don't leave them unattended. We're always, when we're starting tying these calves up, and it doesn't matter whether it's low or mid, high, or trying to get to show height, there is always somebody with the cattle. And I'm just gonna say, if we have to leave the barn for whatever reason, somebody either stays or we turn the cattle loose. But we never, ever leave them unattended when you're halter breaking, to me, at the first stages. As far as how long we do this, like I said, we let the cattle tell us what to do and how fast we can progress. I mean, obviously, this calf's doing well, and we can kind of introduce things a little quicker to him. But if we got something that's a little bit more fighting the halter or more, more rejecting it and stuff like that, then we'll kind of stay at certain stages. So like I said, this is the front stage, this is the foundation, this is what kind of sets the tone on what's to come. And like I said, there is an art to halter breaking cattle. I think a lot of it is your mannerism, the way you move, being easy, being gentle, being patient. All these things are things that I think are very helpful when you're starting a new calf and halter breaking. So to me, like I said, feel like he's doing good, then we feel like it's time to lead. It'd be the next step we'd go from here. Another thing that we like to do, and I like to do it, we like to do it at this point when we get them just a little bit closer to the fence, but we'll start putting direct contact with them with a show stick, a comb, and like I said, most times when we put this on them, we're not going to use the hook. You can just go underneath there and grab hair or whatever. So, and it can be a combination of the stick. You can comb on them. I think a blower works well, because you can blow on them from a distance and just kind of get some air moving. It's really all about the whole touching thing. And like I said, a lot of them will kick, they'll jump. I think the deal of it is if they don't like being touched, then we touch them a lot. I mean, if they don't like their feet touched, then we touch their feet a lot. If they don't like to be scratched, then we scratch their stomach a lot. I'm just saying, as we rub on them, we comb on them, we blow on them. I think the more you can do for these things is very beneficial in the halter breaking process and letting you get on to the next step. So this is about the 4th time this calf's been tied up. We feel like we're doing good here. And we feel like, I feel pretty comfortable by looking at him and looking at the indicators, what he's showing us. He's relaxed, he's chewing his cud, he's not fighting the halter. I think this is a perfect scenario for us to, move on to the next step, take a little bit of a chance, move on to maybe halter breaking, see how we get along. And to me, I feel like we're at this point where we're ready for the next point, and that would be, to me, leading and seeing how we get along in that. We start to introduce leading, and I think before we ever take a step here, if you'll notice Ky here, you'll see a lot of people that when they want to get ready to lead, they'll get their hand way up there close to their face, and they kind of pressure them right off the bat. We actually like to give them a little bit of space to where if they do jump past you, you can kind of turn them around and, to me, spin them around towards you a little bit easier. But the key thing here is like to introduce this kind of pressure, come here, reward. And so you almost pressure and then have them give to it, but then you learn to give a little bit back. And it's a little bit of a hand sensitivity deal. Like I said, there's some people that are really good at it, but right now we're just pressuring him to come forward, and then we're giving him a little bit back. Pressure, and trying to give him a little bit back. So this is part where we're leading. Like I said, this helps a lot, especially too if you got 2 people. One person can be behind here, and we can kind of help coax them forward. And then, and so to me, the key thing here is make sure you work in small pins. If I could say anything that to me is super sound advice, is do not work in too big of a pin. Right now, we want to work in a small area, and we just want to try to, like I said, we're wanting to make baby steps here. We're wanting to make a little bit of progress. And I'm going to say this, we still have this extra large Weaver braking halter. It has that, to me, a designated piece on that halter that lets it slide. A lot of times a regular halter, when you pressure them up and you ask them to come forward, it tightens up and it stays tight. And then to me, that's where a lot of your underlying problems can get started. So right now you just see we're just kind of working in a small area here. We're not getting too big. And I'm going to say this here, you got to have somebody, to me, on the end of the halter there that I think is got enough, what I'd say, strength that they can kind of, like I said, this is kind of a critical stage here. What we really don't want to have happen is for the calf to get loose. I mean, that's going to be one of the goals here, is to not let them get loose, because I'm telling you, they can learn that and they can learn it quick, and it's hard to break them out of it. So at this point, that's the key thing, is to work in small areas. And like I said, you can see Ky here, he's rewarding, he's petting this calf and, touching this calf and just trying, like I said, this is all trying to teach something, but yet being gentle, being kind, and you know what? Once we get comfortable in the small pen, then we start migrating to something a little bit more bigger, if you will, and going from there. But we absolutely, at a must, start in a little bitty small pen. I don't care if it's a little 10 by 10 pen. I don't care if, what it is. It's just got to be small at first. Okay, what we got now is we got Pacey here is going to demonstrate on a heifer that I wouldn't call her show broke, but we're definitely more advanced than the little cat that we just showed. So to me, we're trying to show some in-between stages. So what we're going to do is we're going to show leading. She's not going to have a show stick, so Pacey's not going to implement that really at the point. Right now, we're just trying to do some space, and where she's the leader and the calf's the follower. So that's really what we're trying to demonstrate. The deal that we're trying to go for today is we want to show Pacey trying to lead the heifer, not the heifer trying to lead Pacey. So that's our goal. And so right now, when you're working at home, it's key that you stay ahead. Like I said, and we'll go ahead and start. What really looks good in the ring is kids or exhibitors leading cattle, not cattle leading kids. And so to me, I think this all starts at home. This is something that you're not going to teach at the show. I mean, you are the trainer. You're the one that's responsible for teaching these things their manners, their job, and what they're supposed to do. And to me, this is something that no doubt has to be implemented at home. Obviously, this whole procedure would be very difficult by yourself, because then you're just going to get into a big tug-of-war game. And I think the deal of it is being able to keep those things moving free. And I think when you look at this situation here, the one on each end is just equally as important. I mean, having Pacey out there in front, but having her, keeping that heifer behind her. But then, Ryan, when you look at him, he only assists when he needs to. And to me, like you said, and so when things are going good, you kind of back off. And you know what, when you need some pressure and you need to influence them advancing forward, then he's going to step in and like I said, twist the tail or do whatever he's got to do to kind of keep them moving forward. But like I said, this step here goes a lot better, but no doubt, with two people out there. I mean, how much do you walk them and do this? I think as much as you can. Obviously, we advance into the next step with the show stick and teach them to walk into it and stopping and whatnot. And like I said, I think the more you can do this and teach them their job, I think the more benefit this is to you in the show ring. Hopefully this shows you on the procedure and the steps that it takes to start a new calf, all the way to maybe leading more comfortably. This is the way we do it here. This is our procedure. This is where our techniques are here at Stierwalt Cattle and Clinics.